Really good to be here with you all. I'd like to, of course, thank Equitana for inviting me to be part of the equestrian celebration. As Nicole said, we couldn't meet live this year, but we're doing the next best thing. So here I am on my porch in the Great Smoky Mountains of North Carolina, where I reside. And I'm very happy to be here with all of you. And thank you so much for tuning in. So I'm aware that some of you are folks that have already taken my classes and are regular followers of my work, and thank you for joining me. And I'd like to thank all the new friends that are joining me as well for tuning in and learning a little bit more about me. So just a brief little bio. Again, I'm Kathy Woods. I've been teaching yoga about 30 years, long time. But I always say it's a really good job to have because it never feels like a job. I love yoga. I use yoga in so many aspects of my life, not just on the mat, but the whole of yoga. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. And I thoroughly enjoy sharing it with folks. I teach here in the Smoky Mountains, but I also travel around the country and offer retreats, workshops, and clinics at different venues from ranches, resorts, equestrian centers, yoga centers. And a little bit about my Body Mind Equine program. You'll see that on the banner here. Body Mind Equine is a program I created about 12 years ago where my two paths converged, my two passions converged, yoga and horsemanship. And I started realizing that what I was doing on the yoga mat, I was also applying to my horsemanship. I don't just mean the postures, I mean the whole of yoga, the mindfulness, the breathing awareness, the balance, energy awareness, intuition. So there were so many things that I was doing on my mat, and then I was naturally applying to my horsemanship. So that was the birth of Body Mind Equine when I realized that there are many, many parallels. I want to share with you briefly before we start the yoga class my latest project, which is my book called Yoga for Riders. And I am so pleased with this. It's published by horseandriderbooks.com. And there's just so much in here. It's a rich book. It's not really just about yoga postures, though there are 40 exercises that you can do on the mat and with your horse. But there's a lot of other valuable life information and many nuggets of wisdom that can be applied to horsemanship from ground to saddle. So that's a little bit about that. So I'd like to talk for a moment about why yoga is so good for equestrian. And I know some of you tuning in today are not equestrian, but look at this as the whole. It can really apply to life in general. But applying it to horsemanship, I'm a horse person as well. I have two horses right down behind me at the barn. And I know the physicality that goes along with being an equestrian. It's not just riding, it's lifting hay bales, it's pushing wheelbarrows, it's picking up hooves. So there's a lot of lifting, bending, twisting, balance comes into play. And those are all things that can be improved through the physical aspect of yoga. And then once we practice the, what I call the external yoga, the postures, and that's what most people are familiar with, you organically start moving to the internal practice of yoga, which is more mindfulness, breathing awareness, energy awareness. And then that also comes into play in our horsemanship as well. So it's a really good match, yoga and horsemanship. So I hope you're going to enjoy the class this morning. We're going to set the tone for the day. It's been a really unusual year, to say the least. And it's so important that we all do things like this as part of our self-care to level the playing field, to kind of counterbalance the effects of stress that's going on, uncertainty in our lives right now. So I'm happy to be here with you. I want you to really embrace this, enjoy this, feel like you're giving yourself a gift this morning, spending some time on your mat, and think about this as your own personal yoga class from the comfort of your own home. So we're going to get started. This is yoga for everybody, nothing too intense, but we are going to focus particularly on some good stretches for riders. Listen to your body. If there's anything you need to sit out, doesn't feel right for any reason, please feel like you have the space to do that. We're not here to compete or compare. Yoga is simply an awareness practice. At the time we can become more aware of ourselves, body, mind, and spirit by spending integrated collected time on the mat. And then hopefully we carry that integrated, heightened, collected awareness with us out into the world. So we're going to start with a little centering meditation. If you have a cushion or a throw pillow you want to use, or maybe you don't want to sit and you want to lie down, that's fine as well. Just so long as the spine is straight. And I invite you now to close your eyes and take your awareness from outflowing to inflow. Preparing to spend some inward quality time with yourself this morning. Now, without judging anything or changing anything or trying to fix anything, simply check in with yourself. Take some inner inventory and just seeing what is there for you this morning. Notice if there are any places in your body that are calling your attention, where they are, what they feel like. Bring your attention to your breathing and notice if the breath is deep or shallow, fast or slow. Bring your attention to your mind. Is it focused this morning and present? Or is it wandering a bit and scattered? Again, no judgment, you're just observing, checking the inner landscape of your being. Now notice your overall energy today. Is it centered and grounded? Is it nervous and scattered? Is it sleepy and tired? And now that we've checked in with ourselves, begin to deepen the breath to a slow, steady rhythm, using your entire lung space. Belly, ribs, and chest expanding and contracting with each breath. So often we habitually become shallow breathers. This is an opportunity to breathe deeply and mindfully. Allow the breath to be a focal point for the mind. So when thoughts pop in or the mind wanders and scatters, notice that and gently bring the mind back to the breath. Coming down now from thinking and doing and dropping into a space of just being and just breathing. And feel how very good that feels to give yourself permission to be still and inward. Let us remain here in silence for a few moments. Experience yourself as the essence, the energy, the spirit of your being. So often we identify with our titles, our stories, our stuff, our dramas. Let go of all that and simply drop into the who of who you are. And then experience that that who of who you are is part of the whole, is interconnected with all of creation. The same life force energy that runs through you runs through all of life, all of creation, nature, animals, other people, interconnecting us. And that is what the word yoga means, to yoke or to unite body, mind, and spirit. From this inward place, let us set an intention this morning. The intention is to be a keen listener to your inner voice. Listen to and honor your inner voice about what feels good and right to do this morning. how deeply or gently to stretch, if there are any adjustments or micro movements you need to make, there's something you need to sit out. So just be a keen listener to the inner voice. That'll be our intention for the session today. With eyes closed, now slowly draw your palms together until they touch and feel that touch, and take another deep belly breath. Now rub the palms together, creating some heat and friction. And then place the warmed hands to the face and take another deep belly breath. And let the warmth of the hands relax the facial muscles. Now begin an intuitive massage of your face, your head, your neck, whatever feels good. Move the head and neck around in any way. And then cup the face into your hands with eyes closed. Exhale the hands back down to your lap or your knees. Take a deep breath. And slowly allow your eyes to open. And once again, namaste. And that means I honor your inner light. Thank you all for being here. Now notice if you're feeling any different than when you first sat down and I had you take that inner inventory. Notice if you feel any shifts, and if so, in what way. So you can see perhaps that a little bit of this goes a long way, and perhaps you can see how this can tie into your horsemanship, taking those few moments before encountering your equine partner to become centered and integrated, to take our nervous system down a notch and calm it and refine it. So we're going to start now with a little movement. Let's exhale and drop the chin to the chest. We're going to wake up the body gently and mindfully. With the head in a forward hang, begin to sweep it from shoulder to shoulder. Working in whatever range of motion feels good and right to you. Pause at places that want a little deeper stretch. And then with eyes closed, inhale the head back up to center. And tune all awareness to the neck. Feel how just a little bit of movement has already begun to increase circulation and soften tension. And now we're going to go ahead and shake out the legs if you're sitting with your legs crossed. And if you're using a pillow or throw blanket, let's move that off to the side. Shake out the legs after having them crossed. Tap the backs of the legs on the floor, increasing circulation there. And we're going to come into tabletop position. So we're going to put our weight on our hands and knees equally. So symmetry on the mat equates to symmetry in the saddle. Sometimes in this position, we think we're in tabletop and we're symmetrical, but we look down and perhaps our hands are in and not under the shoulders. Look down at your knees now and make sure they're hip width apart. And now we're going to do a tuck and an extension with the right leg. Inhale, knee to head, head to knee, and round the spine. And exhale the leg as high as it'll go and look the face forward. And inhale, rounding, making space between the vertebrae. And exhale, leg looking forward. And one more time, inhale, tuck, round deeply, and lengthen completely as you wake up the front body. And back to tabletop, recenter your weight. Left knee to head, head to knee rounding. Exhale, lifting and lengthening. Two more. And tuck with the in-breath, moving with the breath on the mat. Exhale, lengthen. And learning to move with the breath in your horsemanship. Rounding and lengthening. Exhale. Tabletop. We're going to take the hips and begin to circle them around 3 times each way. So as an equestrian, Hips are a really important part of the body to keep healthy and supple. Hips and low back interconnect, circling both directions, and just feeling how very good it feels to be moving into your body this morning mindfully. In my program, I talk about being a mindful equestrian, taking the mindfulness from the mat into our horsemanship. We're going to come into child's pose, buttocks to the heels, forehead to the mat, drop the elbows, take a deep breath. If your forehead doesn't touch the mat, make a little pillow of your hands or fists, or use a cushion. Dropping the buttocks to the heels. Now take a few slow, deep breaths in child's pose and allow the entire backside of your body to melt into softness. As you breathe deeply, many of the internal organs here are getting a squeeze, a press, and a detox in child's pose. And then we're going to roll up. If sitting on your heels doesn't work, then come into tabletop again. So slowly unfurling from child's pose, pausing, and allowing the blood flow a moment to redistribute. So the yoga mat is an opportunity to slow down. The form of yoga that I teach is not fast moving. It's about slowing down. We're so fast in so much of our lives that this is an opportunity to take it a little easier and a little slower. Also, when we learn to slow down in our horsemanship, our equine partners really appreciate that, and we have a better overall experience. Next, we're going to work the side body. Important as a rider to keep those shoulder joints healthy and supple. You're holding the reins, you're sitting erect, and that can certainly create some upper body tension. So this is a stretch I call helicopter. We're going to take the right elbow and palm down to the mat. If you can't reach, get a cushion and put it under your arm. Drop the ear toward the shoulder so you're getting a stretch in the neck. And think about your left sitting bone aiming toward the mat. Take your left arm and begin to circle it slowly 3 times each way. Working in whatever range of motion is there for you. You don't have to look like anybody else in your yoga practice. And just feeling that shoulder, getting some attention, circling the other direction. Breathing deeply, waking up the side body. Be so mindful that you feel your hands slicing through the air. And then take that hand and rest it on the left knee. Use your right palm to push up to center. Close the eye. And notice if that left side of the neck, shoulder, and waist feel any different than the right. Again, yoga is an awareness practice. We learn where we're holding and storing tension and how to release them. Left elbow down, drop the ear toward shoulder, right sit bone toward the mat. Starting to circle the right arm 3 times each way. Don't lift the neck. You don't want to create any neck tension. And you may notice there's a different range of motion on this side of the body. Again, working with where you are. It's the only realistic place to work from. When you are done, hand to the knee, press up to seated, pause, eyes are closed, awareness is inward, breath is deep. And notice how the right side has responded. And then we're going to roll down onto our back. So in life and in horsemanship, keeping a healthy and supple spine is really paramount. So we're going to come down onto our backs, knees bent, hug them into the chest, and then rock a little bit, giving the back a little massage against the mat. Now, knees to center, arms to a T. Again, another opportunity for symmetry. Sometimes we think our arms are in a T and we look out and one is up here, one's down here. So make sure both arms are directly coming out of the shoulders. And then with the knees in, inhale
And exhale, drop the knees and feet to your left until the feet touch the floor. Now look away from the knees. So look out at your right hand. And if you want to go a little deeper, take that left hand and press the knees down further while looking out to the right. Take a few deep belly breaths. And then arms to a T, and one knee at a time, come back to center. Inhale, center. Exhale, knees and feet to the right. Head looks left, arms at shoulder height. Optional, right hand could press the knees down a little deeper. A few full breaths. And then let's come back to center. Hug the knees into the chest once again. Lower the feet, knees are bent. So again, hips are really important to keep healthy as a rider. A lot of activity goes on in the hips, the low back as we're sitting astride a horse. So we're going to come into hip socket stretch. Take your left foot, put it on your right knee, flex the foot, pick that right foot up and draw the knees into the chest. Optional, you could take the right hand behind the right knee and add a little action. Yoga should never be painful. Never take these poses to the point of pain. Slight discomfort, a little challenge that you can breathe through, that's okay. So you should be feeling some action here in the left hip. Take a deep breath, send it down into that hip. And then lower the foot, release that leg, and pause, and notice if your left hip feels any different than your right. Right ankle on the left knee, flex the foot, that protects the knee joint. Left leg draws in. Optional, left hand could grab behind the left knee. Breathe on down into the right hip, sending it breath, energy, oxygen, and permission to release. Lower down, release. Notice the right hip has responded. Roll onto your side. This is a nice, safe way to get up off the floor or even out of bed in the morning. Use the hands to push your way back up to seated. Pause here, let the blood flow redistribute, and let's extend the legs forward. We're going to come into head to knee pose. Keeping the legs strong yet flexible. So scoot your hips back so you're sitting on your sitting bones. Again, this also comes in handy when you're riding. Sometimes we think we're sitting up straight and we look down and we see we're kind of slumped and sitting on the tailbone. So just sitting on those sitting bones, you're in this letter L shape, head to knee pose. Take your right foot and bring it to your left inner thigh. Flex your straight leg, engage it, and move with the breath. Inhale up. Now don't let your shoulders come up under your ears, they're down. And with a long spine, exhale forward and grab your shin, ankle, or foot, whatever works for you. Sink your chest toward your thigh, but lengthen the crown toward the foot. And breathe into the back of that left leg. You may also feel some action in the lower back. Every body part interconnects, so many parts benefit from just one stretch. Reach out, inhale fingers to the sky, and let's exhale them to heart center and pause. Stay collected. You know, we talk about collection in horsemanship. You can go ahead and switch legs. About making sure your horse is collected, body, its mind. What about collection of the human body and mind, also equally as important? Inhale up, the right leg should be extended now, flexed. Exhale, dive forward. Grab your shin. If that's all you can do, that's okay. Ankle or foot. Drop the head, breathe deeply. And remember, our intention was to really listen to your own inner voice. So if there's something that's not working for you, change it. Micro move, self-correct. Reach out, inhale up, and exhale to heart center. So when we learn to self-correct on the mat, we become more body aware. Then we start to learn to self-correct in the saddle. We can realize, oh, our weight is maybe in one stirrup more than the other, or maybe our shoulders are tight and they're up around our ears and we need to drop them down. So again, what we do on the mat really can translate to what you do in your horsemanship. So another great stretch for riders, one of my favorites, is various lunges. We're going to do a basic lunge today. So come back in the tabletop. Take your left foot and just bring it up through your hands. Now you may have to actually grab it and pull it up. Here's an important cue. Knee and ankle need to be aligned. So you don't want to look like this with your knee out over your toes or you'll hurt your knee joint. So knee, ankle aligned. You can be on fingertips, palms, knuckles. Slide that back leg out. So you're feeling now some nice action through this right hip flexor. For those who want to take it a little deeper, you can flip those back toes under, lift the back knee. That's optional. Again, yoga is not about competition. Be where you need to be. If your knee's up, drop it down. If you want to advance a little more, come into a knee balance, crown up to the sky. Now don't do this with your weight. The weight is still forward. If you want to go on, inhale to a T. With a right twist, exhale, looking out over the fingertips. So I do this in the saddle, the upper body portion only, to help with alignment and moving from core, moving from center. Let's exhale the hands down, chest to thigh, back to tabletop. Take a pause and let that soak in. Right foot up through the hand. Make sure that knee and ankle are aligned. Back leg slides back, palms, knuckles, finger pad. Take a deep breath and feel that left hip flexor getting some action. Optional, flipping the toes under, lifting the back knee. You take these stretches to whatever level of intensity or lack of intensity you choose. Drop the knee, unfold the toes, either stay here or come on into knee balance. Crown up. The crown's not here, it's up. So you're pulling up tall out of the way. The weight's not here, it's here. If you want to go on to a T, left twist, exhale, look out over those left fingertips. And come on back around. And drop the chest to the thigh. Back to tabletop. Take a deep breath. We're going to turn the toes under. We're going to transition to standing. Let's go into a moment of downward dog. The hips rise up and then they reach toward the back of your mat. Look at your feet. Make sure they're hip width. Fingers are wide. Ears are between the arms, so you're not lifting the head. You're not creating neck tension. And here the entire back side of your body is getting a good stretch. Let's walk the feet to the hands. Drop the head and just hang loose. Drop the arms, drop the head. Get some new blood flow into the head, bend the knees, and slowly roll up and stack the vertebrae. Feel how your body unfurls. Feel how the body is like building blocks, one stacking on top of another. And then simply feel the posture of standing. So it's all yoga, not just the twisted, contorted poses. It's all an opportunity to be mindful, to be present. Let's bring the feet a little bit apart, and with loose arms, just begin to swing it out side to side. Look forward if you feel at all dizzy. And you can take this big, small, fast, slow, whatever feels good. Just moving some energy through the core and through the limbs. And we're going to slow it down. Feet under the hips. Again, an opportunity for body awareness. Are your feet really under the hips? Look down. Are your toes really pointing forward, or is one turned out? So feeling solid, we're going to do the arms for eagle pose. Lovely stretch for the upper back. I do this in the saddle. On next week on the 25th, I'll be doing a demo on horseback. This is a really nice one to keep the shoulders relaxed. Left arm on the bottom, right arm is on the top. Cross the elbows, intertwine. Some of you may only go to here, that's fine. Others may be able to touch hands. Inhale, lower, and exhale up, keeping the elbows crossed. Inhale, lower, exhale up, moving with the breath. Inhale, lower, exhale on the exertion of the posture up. Inhale, lower, release, hang the arms, observe right shoulder, shoulder blade. Left over the top, intertwine. Here, or grab on, inhale down, exhale up. I'll turn sideways, inhale down so you can see me better. Exhale up, inhale lower, and one more time, exhale up. Inhale down, release, and relax the arms and observe the left shoulder, shoulder blade. So keeping legs strong is definitely a good exercise to do in our horsemanship. We're using legs for mounting, dismounting, riding. Legs are engaged, they get a lot of activity. So chair pose is a great leg strengthener. Feet hip width apart, arms up, shoulders down. Sit in an imaginary chair and then pitch the body slightly forward. Again, I'll turn sideways. Make sure your ears are lined up between the arms. Your head's not up here. You're not creating tension in the neck. Heels are on the floor. You're breathing into the thighs. And come on up. Exhale, release. Take a short break, and we're going to do that again. So in your own practice, you may want to do 3 to 5 of these just to get some good leg strengthening. Since we are on limited time today, we're holding postures maybe a little more briefly than I normally would. And then chair pose a second time. And again, in your own personal practice, you can create this however you want it to look. And back up and down. So keeping those quadriceps nice and strong. Take your right hand to your right hip and take your left arm up. Now squeeze slightly through the hips. We're going to come into a crescent moon. Take your right hand and push your left hip away. So you're in the shape of a half moon. Upper arm lined up with the ear. It's not out here. So we're opening the side body, but we're also strengthening the core as we come to center. Squeeze through the hips and use your core to bring you up. And exhale, lower down. Inhale, right up, left to hip. Squeeze slightly through the hips, supporting, protecting the low back as you drive the right hip away. Nice deep breaths. Make sure your chest is not looking down. It's pointed forward. Use the core to come back to center. So learning to engage the core on the mat, we learn to engage and use our core in our horsemanship. Another great stretch for riders, standing goddess pose. Step wide. Turn the toes out slightly. Again, some of the poses are more for flexibility, some are more for balance. This happens to be one of the more strengthening poses. Hands to hips. The toes are just turned out a little. If you turn them too far, you're going to go off balance. Bend the knees, sink the tailbone straight down toward the floor, and let's add some arms and upper back. Interlace, push the palms to meet, chin parallel to the floor. Deep belly breaths into the legs, send them oxygen and holding power. And then come on up, relax the arms. We'll do another slight variation. Hips. Sink the tailbone down, knees are bent. This time, bring your hands out to the sides like you're holding 2 plates and touch your thumb and pointer in Jnana Mudra. The mudra, the symbol of knowledge. Very strong, strengthening posture, standing goddess pose. Come on back to center and release. And let's bring the feet in together. So balance, obviously very important in horsemanship. We're today going to do a pose called stork or 3-point balance. It seems really basic, but it's very effective in improving our balance, and also a lot of little muscles work to hold us in the balance poses. So in essence, they are strengthening as well. Toes ahead. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Flex your left foot and bring the knee to hip height if you can, maybe a little lower, but aim for hip height. Arms forward. Left arm drifts up. Focus your gaze on something not moving. And if you want to challenge more, you can add some arm movement, optional. And know when it's time to control the exit of the pose. Do it mindfully and control. Back to mountain. So the yogis say, when our inner is balanced, our outer is balanced. When our outer is balanced, our inner is balanced. So balance is a twofold. There's our physical balance. Then we also know when we get off balance internally as well. I like to use these as a gentle gauge to see if I'm balanced in my life. Some days I get into these poses and I'm super solid. I can stay there all day. And other times I'm really wobbly and shaky. And I look at what may be out of balance in my life on those days. And usually there's something. So other leg, weight onto the left foot, fix your gaze. Right leg floats up, flex the foot, arm shoulder height. At your pace, right arm floats up. And moving the arms is optional. Now, if you can't quite get these balance poses, use a chair, a table, a railing to help you until you can improve your balance. When you are done, land all points down together. Stork pose, also known as 3-point balance. So we're going to do a short flow, working our way back down. Again, do what you can. Hands to the heart center. Inhale up. Look up. Exhale, dive forward into a standing forward bend. Touch your knees, your shins, the floor. Whatever works for you, keeping the knees straight. Drop the head so you're not creating neck tension. And we're going to plank. Palms down, legs back. Feet hip width apart, wrists under the shoulders. Neck is not tucked, it's not hyperextended. It's a straight line out of your spine. Squeeze through the hips and engage your core. An excellent core strengthener here for riders. Down dog, hips rise up. Exhale toward the wall behind you, heels toward the mat, chest toward the thighs, deep breath. And drop the knees. Unfold the toes, and let's go into child's pose for a little counter posture. Lift the forehead. Stay in child's pose, a couple breaths. This is a nice counter posture to the down dog. And just check in with yourself. And then we're going to slowly, again, either come out of child's pose in a tabletop or a seated kneel. We're going to come down onto our belly in Sphinx pose. Again, keeping the spine healthy and supple. A lot of the postures are based around keeping nice, healthy space between the vertebrae. Also, many nerves run off of the spine, so also very healthy to keep a healthy nervous system and even an immune system, which is really important now. So we're going to slither down onto our belly, onto our elbow. This is a little less intense in Cobra. This is called Sphinx. The elbows are under the shoulders, not the hands. Hands are shoulder width apart. Make sure they're not in here. They're here. Squeeze through the hips. Think of your chest being pulled toward the wall in front of you, the crown lifting up, and feel the low belly breathing against the mat. Infusing your postures with breath. Infusing your horsemanship with breath. And now release the hands, drop the head, turn the face to one side, close the eyes, take a break, bend your knees, Swish them right to left like windshield wipers, wagging the tail, releasing the lower back. And straighten out the legs. Let's push back up for a moment and come into seated again. So I do want to do one more hip stretch just because hips are really an important area to keep healthy and flexible for riders. Right foot in front of the left. So you're kind of stacking the feet now. Fold forward. You're going to feel some action in the right hip. Listen to your body about how deep or gentle to go. And then slowly come back up. Switch out the leg. So your left foot's going to be in the front. Walk it out. Taking a little time with the left hip. Nice deep breath. And come back up. And let's come on to our backs. We'll do a few moments of relaxation and then we'll have some question answers. So onto your back, hug the knees in. We're going to do a little core strengthener. I have so much to share with you. I wish we had more than 40 minutes, 45 minutes today. Feet up, fingers up. Lift your head and shoulders off the mat and touch the sky. Breathe, don't hold the breath. And hug in and rest. Lower the feet. So again, in your personal practice, I would recommend probably doing 3 sets of those and just giving you a little snippet today. So let's circle the knees around. We stretch out for a few moments of relaxation. And lower the feet, extend the legs. If this doesn't feel comfortable, you can leave them bent and prop the knees together, or you can even put a throw pillow under the backs of your knees. Feet drop out to the sides, palms up. I'm going to sit up. You guys stay laying down. Make sure you have a straight line from tailbone to crown. Savasana. So the word asana in yoga means posture. This is the posture of relaxation. So just take a moment to relax, to let everything soak in that we've just done today. And allow the earth to fully support your weight. You're little tiny in comparison to the earth. You just feel supported. Breathe, relax, and let go. Feeling supported by the earth. Letting the goodness of the poses we did today soak in. And feel the pulse of the earth beating along the back side of your body. Like a massage, allowing it to dissolve any remaining tension. Remain there quiet for another moment. And I invite you now to come back to the breath, with the fingers and toes. Bend the knees. Roll onto one side. And in your own time, slowly come back up to seated. Close the eyes when you get there. And just take a moment to check in. Notice how you're doing, how you're feeling after spending this kind of integrated time with yourself. Thank yourself and appreciate yourself for taking time for self-care. Our intention today was to really listen to the inner voice. If you'd like, bring that intention into your day. Inner voice is always speaking to us about how to best take care of ourselves. Honing into inner knowing, to intuition, comes in handy in yoga, in life, and in horsemanship. Namaste, again, means I honor your inner light. Namaste. I always like to say happy trails and namaste. And I hope that you all enjoyed the class today. I have so much, again, that I wanted to share with you. So we just sort of did short snippets of everything. I would have loved to leave you in a relaxation, a savasana for 20 minutes, but we didn't have the time today.
But I hope that you got some tidbits out of this that you can interweave into your own practice, and maybe you can start to see how yoga ties into horsemanship. I hope you'll check out my book, Yoga for Riders. It's available at horseandriderbook.com. And maybe you'll join me somewhere around the country. I offer retreats and these presentations at expos, and my website, kathywoodsyoga.com. So with that, I'm going to thank you all for being here. I'm going to turn it over to Nicole, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.